Let me guess. You keep saying you need more time, you need more space, you need more room to think, more hours in the day. More, you tell yourself that if you finally slow your life finally slowed down a little, if your schedule opened, if responsibility became lighter, then you would finally get your life together. Then you would finally be disciplined. I would finally start building, would finally start working out consistently and create the thing you were talking about the last years, right? Then you would handle what you keep avoiding. And maybe part of that is true. Life can be demanding. There are seasons where your schedule is full, your energy is low, and there really is a lot pulling at you. I'm not denying that. But sometimes the real problem is not that you need more time. Sometimes the real problem is that you need more truth. And truth is harder to face than time. Time sounds so innocent. Time sounds so neutral. It lets you say, I would change if life gave me more room. It lets you believe that the better version of you is waiting somewhere behind a cleaner schedule. But the truth asks sharper questions. Truth asks you, what are you doing with the time you already have? Truth asks what gets your best energy first. Truth asks what you keep saying matters while crediting it like an afterthought, you know? Truth asks whether your issues is real, lack of hours, or lack of honesty about your priorities. And that is uncomfortable because the moment you tell the truth, you lose the softer story. And the softer story is, I just do need to have more time. And it feels better. It feels cleaner. It protects you. It is easier than admitting that something is being wasted. It is easier than admitting that your attention is scattered. And easier that admitting that comfort keeps winning, you know? Because once you admit, you cannot keep hiding behind the idea that life is the only thing standing in your way. And that is why this matters. If time is the only problem, then you are powerless until life changes. But if the truth is part of the problem, then change can begin now in this moment. You might think you need a free month to get serious, a perfect routine, a low stress season, a better environment, more emotional peace, more motivation, more certainty. But if you cannot lead yourself in imperfect conditions, you often carry the same chaos into better conditions too. More free time with no structure can become more wasted time. More flexibility with weaker discipline can become more drift. You know, more space with no direction can become more distraction. That is why you can get the weekend and still lose it. You can get the evening and numb it away. You can get a fresh week and still repeat the same patterns because time alone does not organize a person. Truth does. Truth says your mornings are being traded away. Your truth says your evening are being numbed away. And truth says your attention belongs to everything except what matters the most. You keep saying peace matters to you, but you feed chaos. And you keep saying growth matters, but your best hours go into consumption instead of creation. You know, one of my favorite is when you say you want freedom. Freedom matters to you, but your habits keep you reactive, scattered, and owned by impulses. That can sting. But truth is useful, you know? Truth does not come to shame you, it comes to free you from confusion. Because confusion gives you fog. Confusion lets you circle the same problem with calling it complicated. But truth creates direction. If you tell the truth that your schedule is crowded because you keep saying yes when you mean no, the next step becomes clearer. Truth can feel sharp in the moment, but it saves you years. This is why you can stay stuck even while trying so hard to improve. You download the planner, you watch the productivity videos, and you build the routines. You write the goals down, you search for the best system you could ever have. And don't get me wrong, structure matters and systems matter too. Tools matters, but systems built on dishonesty collapse too quickly. If you secretly protect distraction, no calendar can save that. If you secretly want comfort more than progress, no planner can save that. At some point, growth becomes less about finding a better method and more about telling the truth about the person using the method. So ask yourself plainly, what do you actually want? What are you actually doing? What keeps repeating in your life? What are you tolerating in your life? These questions cut through the polished language you used to say to stay comfortable. They remove the fog. They remove the story that everything is mysterious. Because a lot of the time you already know what needs to happen. You know you need to sleep earlier. You know you need to stop wasting your precious mornings. You know you need to train, to work out. You know you need to create instead of only consume. And you know you need to simplify your life. But knowing something quietly and admitting it fully are not the same thing. The full truth sounds more direct. I'm wasting time I claim I do not have. I'm choosing short term comfort over long term self respect. I'm keeping habits that create stress I complain about. I am waiting for the version of life that doesn't require courage. That kind of honesty can change a person. Because once you say it clearly, excuses lose some of their power. And once excuses lose power, action becomes more available. That is why honest people grow faster. Not because they are perfect, not because they are never struggling, but because they correct faster. They do not spend months protecting stories that no longer serve themselves. They don't pity themselves, to be honest. They do not need life to collapse before they adjust. They can admit something is off while it is still small. Because if you wait long enough, life will eventually make the truth harder to ignore. Health gets worse, money gets messy, confidence drops, your peace disappears, relationships get too tense, the thing you avoided becomes too loud to soften with nicer language. But if you learn to listen earlier, life becomes lighter. You make smaller corrections sooner, you do not need dramatic wake up calls as often, you become someone who responds before crisis. That is a real form of self mastery, not controlling everything, correcting early. And that is why the self mastery playlist matters, which I link up there anywhere. The episodes connect together. Broken promises, lowering your standards, escaping yourself, needing new days instead of a new life. Nobody comes to save you or making life harder than it needs to be. They all point back to the same deeper thing, where life is out of alignment with what you say matters. So if this message in this video here right now hits you, do not treat it as just another video. Stay with the series. Let one message expose the next pattern. Let one realization lead to one clearer decision. And let the channel become part of your weekly realignment. Now, back to the topics. This does not mean you become harsh with yourself. It does not mean you talk down to yourself and call that honesty. It does not mean you become aggressively self-hating or constantly critical. That is hostility. Real truth is cleaner than that. It names reality without drama. It says this habit is hurting me. It says this pattern keeps repeating. It says this direction is not working for me. The tone matters. You know, you change better through clarity than through self-hate. Self-hate makes you collapse or hide even. Clarity makes you adjust. So if you feel stuck right now, stop asking how to get more time. Ask better question. Ask something like, where is my time going? What deserves less access to me? What deserves more protection from me? What am I saying matters that my calendar does not reflect? What truth have I been softening because it feels uncomfortable? Sit with those questions honestly, not casually, honestly. Because you may realize that you do have time, just not where it counts. You may realize that your real priorities live in leftovers, in leftover energies or leftover focus, discipline, leftover hours after everything else has eaten the day. And real priorities cannot live forever on leftovers. If something truly matters, it has to be protected before lesser things eat the day alive. That is one of the clearest truths you may need to face. You cannot keep saying freedom matters to you while allowing cheap impulses to run your day. At some point, the calendar that tells the truth. The routines tell the truth. The repeated behavior of you tells the truth. Two people can have similar schedules and end up with completely different lives. One leaks attention everywhere and the other directs it. One reacts all day and the other protects one block of intention. One says what matters, the other structures for what matters. I think you see the difference, right? The difference is rarely magically, it is usually truth followed by alignment. And alignment builds confidence quickly. When your time starts matching your values, something inside you settles. You feel less divided, you feel less frustrated, less guilty in the background, and you stop saying one thing and living another. And that split drains you more than you realize. Saying health matters while giving it scraps drains you. Saving peace matters while feeding chaos drains you. Saying growth matters while worshipping comfort drains you. The contradiction is heavy. Truth removes some of that weight because truth says choose, decide. Look at what your life is already showing you. Your life is already revealing what matters most right now. If you dislike the answer, change the pattern. You do not need to wait for a new season to become serious. You do not need to wait for fewer responsibilities to become intentional. You do not need to wait for motivation to start respecting your time. You can begin with one honest adjustment today. Cancel one useless commitment or a subscription, maybe. Protect one focused hour. Put the phone away for the evening. Train before excuses wake up. Sleep when you say you would go to sleep, or finish the task you keep postponing. Say maybe even no where you mean no, even if it's for your best friends. And say yes where fear keeps saying no. One honest move can expose how many dishonest patterns were quickly running in the day of your life. That is exactly how you rebuild trust in yourself, not through speeches about potential, through hours used with intention, through calendar that reflects your values, and through repeated proof that what matters is finally being treated like it matters. And this is where this episode connects to everything else in the series. Broken promises, weak standards, escape unnecessary friction, constant restarting, waiting for a rescue, or wanting a new life without changing your days. All of it gets stronger when truth is weak, and all of it starts loosening when truth becomes clearer. Because truth does something motivation can never do. Motivation can make you feel powerful for a moment, yes, but truth can expose you. Motivation can make you imagine something, but truth makes you choose. And choosing is where change begins. So if you feel behind, stop asking only for more time. Ask for more truth. Truth about where your time is going. Truth about what you avoid currently, or what your current life is actually optimized for. Because every life is optimized for something, whether it is intentional or not. If you want to know what yours is optimized for, do not look at what you say. Look at what gets repeated access to your best hours. And yes, that truth also may sting for a moment, but confusion hurts longer. Confusion keeps you passive. It keeps you searching for answers you already partly know. It keeps you rearranging the surface while the deeper issue stays untouched, right? It keeps you telling yourself nicer stories while life quietly reveals the less comfortable truth anyway. That is why truth is mercy, even when it feels sharp. It ends the fog. It gives you direction. It gives you something real to work with. So maybe the next level for you is not another new system, another new plan, or another promise that next week everything changes. Maybe the next level is simply becoming more honest faster. Catch the patterns earlier. Name the issues more clearly. Stop using soft language that protects weak behavior. Respect your time enough to admit where it is going and what that says about your priorities, right? That is not glamorous, but it is powerful. And powerful things are often not glamorous at first. They are just real enough to finally move your life. Start there. One clear truth, one real adjustment, one protected hour in your day, or one removed distraction. One priority, treat it like a priority, and then repeat it. Let honesty become your new structure. Let structure become your trust, and let trust become your identity. And if this hits something real in you, do not just let it sit there as another thought. And if this activated something in you or hit you somewhere, stay with the self-mastery page somewhere here on the screen, and stay with Riova to open your truth and clean your patterns, that you can actually build a life that reflects what you want to say and what you want to build. Because you may not need more time. You may just need to stop lying to yourself about where it is going.